When I'm listening to you talk about how you're caring for your parents and the joy and the laughing and the honesty about your marriage, and I think that's the thing about you that I dig the most, is there's a joy about you.
I will say that about Willie, and I think that a great gift that I have had in seeing him care for his parents is just seeing him. Shoot.
What kind of crazy psychoanalysis have you done?
I'm just asking stuff, brother. Oh, gosh.
What are we even doing?
Oh, that's awesome.
Just to see the way he's loved his parents and been there for them and cared for them, and through all of this has been a great gift to me as a wife to be able to see that.
You see the end of your father's life, probably getting close to mom's at some point. So the vision we're talking about is to that point. Now we're going to go past that. Then what? Now, when you have vision of what's beyond here, that can change your entire life. And so the reason I'm not sad about my father at all is because every day of his life, he talked about the day he was going to leave this earth and the hope that he had. So he lived his life for that.
What a perfect approach, bro.
I think when you grasp that like eternal life starts like now, it's not just something for future, it's now, and we can have these things. This love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, these things now that are the fruits of the Spirit of God.
Like, I'm here. I'm still here. Like, what can I do?
This young man comes up to me, 22-year-old guy. He's in tears already. He said, I saw you speak at Life Surge, but do you know Willie? I said, I do know Willie. And he said, would you thank him for saving my life?
Wow.
He goes, I was going to take my life that day. Willie saved my life that day. If you see him, would you please thank him? That legacy of your dad lives through you, bro. You not only changed his life, you saved his life.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Hey guys, it's Ed. I rarely do this. As you know, 99.9% of my content is free. But once a year, I do something where I gather a very small group of people in my house. I've done it for 2 years in a row now, and I'm going to do it again this year. If you go to maxout2026.com, I'm going to do an experience in my home where I'm going to take you through how to make 2026 the best year of your life, all of the tactics and strategies that I use to plan and organize my own life in detail. Same time, all of the mental rehearsal and visualization techniques that people pay me hundreds and millions of dollars a year to teach them, I will be teaching that day as well. And the other years I've done it, I've had groups of about 25 or 30. I've decided this year I want to shrink the size of the group so that I can get more one-on-one time with each of you. So I'm going to keep the groups to 12 or 15. It's a chance to spend a day with me in my home, lunch, one-on-one time, and group time. And it's not cheap, so if it's something you can't afford, please don't get yourself in any financial trouble or debt doing so. But if it's something you can afford to do, go to maxout2026.com, and I'm looking forward to having you in my home with me very soon for an amazing day, a life-changing day. God bless you.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So this week's kind of an interesting thing because I'm interviewing these two very famous people, but I never watched his show. I never watched your TV show. So this is going to be, I say this to Ope because I want transparency with you. I've got to know Willie, and I'll properly introduce both of them in a minute. I've got to know Willie like as a human being because we tour around and speak at some of the same events together. And he's such a good man. He treats everybody so kindly. He's a good man of faith. He's hilarious. I really enjoy his company, knowing about the show but having never watched it. So I get to learn a lot about the two of you guys today. Most of you are like, how do you not watch that show? So you know them both from Duck Dynasty. Also, she's a best-selling author. He's a best-selling author. They've got a new show out called The Revival on Hulu that's out now. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to kind of get into your family and your faith and your business life and all that stuff together with Willie and Korie Robertson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Here.
Yeah.
Our show, it's Duck Dynasty, The Revival. It's actually on A&E, but it does come out on Hulu as well. And so that's been a lot of fun, getting back into the sausage-making business of television.
We're back, yeah.
Took some time off. And
first time around, we did 11 seasons. We did 130 episodes in 5 years with the family. And we were getting it. We were kind of like ready for a little break.
Yeah.
We took a few years off, and then we came back to our kids and we're like, you think you want to do this again? And they all said yes. And we were like, well, I guess we did something right. We didn't like ruin them by putting them on like a reality show in their teen years, because literally our kids grew up on television in a lot of ways. People saw them get their driver's license, go on their first dates, all these things, which are things that are kind of like scary for a family when you know the history of reality TV.
Yes.
But the fact that they all were like, yep, we're in, let's do it again. we felt like was a good sign. So we're back.
That's good. By the way, and I watch how people react to you. Obviously knew who you both were, but I just did not watch the TV show. I've never really said that in an interview. Out of 800 interviews, sort of been that honest. And I like it because what you all fell in love with off camera, he's even better behind the scenes. Truly. He's just like the drivers. We're talking about our flights before we came on. Like all the guys that drive you and I, they just rave about how you treat them, how kind you are. So you live your faith, and that's one of the things that I really admire the most about
Well,
you.
I tell every driver I'm with, no matter what, and I give them cash money. I said, tell everyone else that's here, tell them how good I am.
And how bad I am.
I've schemed this out.
You've been working that.
I've been working that for several years.
I want to ask you something serious. I read this. I'm a prep freak when I do interviews. So I know you from us traveling a little bit, but then like I really dig in. So if I'm wrong about the story, just correct me in the very beginning. But part of coming back in the public eye more, even though you've been in it, other stuff does come with this. When you put yourself in the public, and I know this as well, there's things that are unbelievable blessings that come with it. And then there's stuff that isn't. I don't know if most people know this or if I'm wrong about it, but did you not have like one time someone kind of come after you a little bit and shoot in your home and you weren't there and there was an attack on your family at one point? I know it's a serious way to start, but I'm curious how that affected the both of you.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot, a lot of weird things that have happened, weird people, and weird, stuff that's some even scarier than that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Scarier than someone shooting in your home?
I would say that was the scariest. I mean, we have.
I don't know.
There's a lot of threats, of course. When you're in the public eye, there's I guess statistically, like there's that many people are kind of following you and interested in your family. There are going to be the crazies out there. So we have had a lot of threats, but that was certainly the scariest.
Well, now, okay, so you're in the public as well. Would you be more worried about being injured in a drive-by shooting or someone who literally had your name, your address, somebody that focused in on you? And
the latter.
To me, those are the ones that are like when somebody gets really locked in and fixated. So, and we've had that. I mean, obviously being this long in the public eye, you've had that as well. So, but it's all part of the, if you enjoy the good side of it, there's also, there's a certain amount of people. I think a law enforcement guy told me this one time. He said, there's a certain amount of people, percentage-wise, of the American public that are psychotic and, that are, and so when you put that number on that percentage, and then if you look at how many people, let's say, watched our show, like there was, I think 100 and something million people in 2013. So do the percentages of 100 million people, get the number of how many people, and there you go. Yeah. And so that's what you're going to have to, it's all part of the package of when you do put yourself out there, you are noticeable, you do stand out. Because a lot of times when you stand out, it's kind of fun, certainly in some situations. If you're trying to get a table at a restaurant, you like standing out. But also when you stand out, you're not. You kind of look back to, I just want to blend back in and
By the way, I want to make sure, because I butchered this in the beginning, the show is on A&E when they look at it too, but it's also on Hulu. You were going to say something when he was commenting on that. We're going to say.
I would just say that I think for us, it's about like not living in fear. Because I remember even when the first time around when we decided to do Duck Dynasty, we had so many people and well-meaning people like that are in the faith that would be like, well, aren't you scared that your kids, you're going to get divorced, your kids are going to go on drugs, like all of that. And it just felt like a really moment for us to say, like, we're not going to live in fear. Like, we're not as Christians, as believers, we have the Spirit of God in us. We're called to walk in faith and not live in fear. And so that was a moment that we chose it right off the bat. And then, there's a continual kind of choosing of that to say like, nope, Scripture tells us, do not fear. God is with us and He's in control. And, we look at that moment where we did have a shooter. He shot like 9 shots into our property and hit our son's house. And,
my gosh.
But we're like, hey, we're alive. We're good. We actually had ordered lobster that day. We were just talking about Maine.
Yes.
Really? This is crazy.
Are you serious? That's crazy.
My lobsters in from Maine, fresh from Maine.
That is bananas. We were just talking about this right off camera. That's crazy.
So
this was like an April day. It was sunny.
It was
COVID.
We had all been
everyone
outside.
was outside, and we had tons of people. We have a bigger piece of property. So everybody, our friends were coming to our property
Yeah.
because it was like, you could walk around, you go fishing. It was during that crazy time in 2020. And then,
But anyway, we all were inside at the moment. We were protected. We had ordered lobster that day that Willie was going to cook that night. So
Wow.
we still had everybody over and we had lobster that night.
You did?
Yes, and we were just like, look, we're all alive. We're fine.
in fact-
We're having lobster. Like,
Wow.
this is a good life and we're okay.
Well, I told the police, I was like, yeah, and I'm out there, but I'm thinking, I've got to, like, lobsters have a certain,
Yeah, right. I know. I got to get going.
So my mother called, my mom,
You're thinking about the lobsters.
so my mom calls and she's like, I said, did you hear about, yeah, someone shot at your house, that's crazy. And my mom goes, are you still doing the lobster? And I said, yeah, I'm trying to work the lobster.
You're
I still
crazy,
got it.
bro,
Like, I had
bro.
the pot on, the water
Wow.
was blowing, and then the shots ring out. And
Yeah.
Are
And
you
it's not meant to be made light of
Yeah.
because obviously
I'm
bad
gonna-
things happen as well. But for
I'm gonna
us,
make
that's the
light,
way we
He-
do live our life,
He's good at that. The reason I always, there's a reason I ask everything when I do this. And the reason is this show, people that watch this show are by and large trying to get to the next stage of their life, meaning they want to improve themselves. They want to grow. They want to succeed. And one of the elements that comes with doing that, in my opinion, is you have to be willing to stand for something.
Yeah.
And be bold about it, whatever that is. It could be your business stands to help homeless people, or you believe in a certain dietary program, and that's you, whatever it is. But successful people are bold enough to stand for what they believe in, whatever that belief is. And the two of you are bold about your faith. And that's why you weren't just targets because you were on TV. I believe you're probably target because you're bold about that part of your life. Do you agree with my premise that to do something significant in your life, you've got to figure out what you stand for, what you believe in, and be bold about it?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's a process. I think it would be it's easy to say yes, to know exactly. And probably the people listening to this, they don't know everything that they stand
Sure,
for.
I
think that's what's scary is going, here, give me the whole list of everything that you stand for. And so, and some things some things you're like, well, I know this, but then in what way are you going to stand for that? What are you going to say? Especially, what are you going to say publicly? What are you working through? I think the Bible's like that. It'd be like, tell me everything you think about the Bible and every issue. Some of those things in the Bible, I don't know. I'm still learning, and I'm still talking to other people. I'm going, I think this is the way it is. And so, and I'm not saying that to say you can be wishy-washy. I think there's things you stand on, but how you do that, how you implement that, without being so arrogant to where you've got everything figured out. That's where I don't want to be like, I've got it all figured out. I know what I stand on. I know what I believe. I know everything, because then I would feel like, well, now I'm not open to learning something new, where I'm like, wow, I used to think that, and I don't think that's right. I think now I've changed my mind. And I think in this country, people would be willing to change their mind and say, you know what? We've always said this is the way it is, but
wouldn't that be great?
Listen. Yeah,
wouldn't that be great to have a politician go, hey, I got that one wrong.
Exactly.
Well, I got it wrong. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
Used to
My
say that.
intentions
My
were
bad.
right.
Yeah,
my
that
bad.
was just, I was influenced by other things. I really didn't think that through.
Yeah, I agree with
That
you.
would be.
You do that. You keep things, like one of the things I admire about you in the last year or two is I've been around you, and we're not around each other every day, but it's like kind of clear what you believe in, what you stand for, but you do it in such a kind way. Like it's not there's no offense when I'm around you. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like you keep it light. Are you conscious of, and you tell me if I'm right about him on this, because I also think what leaders do and people that change things is they can change energy in people, change a room, change energy, meaning when they walk in, some people kind of walk in and they bring an energy down.
Yeah.
Other people come in and they kind of just blend into the, when I've been in a room with you, when you walk in, like the energy shifts.
Does it go up?
You know it does. Don't be false, but you know that it does. Like, do you agree that he does that? Do you do that? And do you think that's part of being, somebody that creates changes? You're actually conscious of change in energy. Maybe he just does it with his giftedness. But.
No, he does. He does do that. And I think even we were married at 18 and 19. So we were very young. We got married. But I saw that in him then. Like there was that charisma that drew people to him. And so he still does that. And I think we both are very aware of energy in a room. I think that is a thing. And like maybe there's a discernment about people or whatever. But negative energy is like, it can draw you down. So we are like within our family, within our business. It's that intentionality about like bringing that positive energy and like lifting people up and
Yep.
encouraging rather than like bringing the room down.
You
So I
do.
just think
You have a
that's
loving energy. Like even when I walk in, you have a loving energy. His is like light and approachable and accepting. And I mean, I'm not being overly serious because he is funny, but like
Yeah.
I always want to
Yeah.
pick apart like what. It's not a fluke. I don't believe
Yeah.
in flukes.
Yeah.
There's blessings, right? Like we've all
Yes.
the three of us are clearly very blessed people, but there's also success leaves some clues too. And I think there's like. One thing about Willie, my wife asked me about you once. She's like, "You've talked about this dude 2 or 3 times. What is?" I go, "I haven't been around him that much. I
Yeah.
just like this guy." And I said, "I'll give you a compliment. I'll tell you what I said. I said he's hilarious and he keeps things really light, but there's a real depth to him as a man. And he's very bright, but he doesn't have the need to make you think he's the smartest guy in the room. He wants. There's 2 types of people. You're both this way to me. There's some type of people that walk around and go, 'Here I am.' And with your big personality, that'd be easy to do.
Right.
And then there's people when they walk in a room and they go, 'There you are.'
Yeah.
And the 2 of you are there you are people.
That's
Yeah.
a great.
That's great. Thank
That's
you.
great. And I was actually, Korie and I were talking this morning about doing this with you. And I was telling her, because you did something that it was so interesting, but not many people do. So we speak together a lot. And so we're but we're not at the same times.
Right.
And so, this is a long journey we're on. And so usually I'm coming in empty or coming in from something else or whatever we've got. And so, and I always joke. So my joke is up there. Like every time I see Tebow, I go, "Tim, man, you crushed it." And he goes, "I know you didn't listen."
That's right.
But I always say, like, "Oh man, you killed it. That was so good." And all those points you made. And he goes, "I know you didn't even listen." So you told me, you said, "You should come hear me. You should come hear my talk."
I did.
Not because I don't think you wanted me to say like, "Oh, you need to hear what I have to say."
No.
But I learned so much about you from your talk, and I wouldn't have done that had you not specifically
Had
just
directed
said,
you to
Yeah.
do it.
Just,
Yeah.
hey,
Well,
you
and
should,
Thank
like,
you.
like you were inviting
And
me.
it's
Yeah.
also
Just
an
a simple-
invitation.
It was just a simple
Everyone
invitation.
wants
like,
to be invited, and
Yeah.
like the fact that you invited him made him feel like, oh,
I've almost
here.
never done that in my life, and
Wow.
it's because I had this
And then as
affection.
I sat there, and I was
Yeah.
like blown away by your story and how you communicate. And then obviously we're in the same business, so it's like I was like, oh wow, how he told this, or how you segue to this,
I
and
watch
how
that
you
with you,
bring
too.
it down. And so you watch all that, and I was like, oh, but I really got to know you, and so I'm so glad you did that. And I
Thank
think
you,
in
brother.
life we don't just simply invite, you know. And I think with the back to the energy. So I think what I'll do, and this is why I love the humorous side and the comedy side, because you can diffuse so many things and you can say different things. So the negative energy, and the older I get, I almost just want to be like, I can't be around that. Like,
Yes.
like I don't even want to be in the space. And so, but now I'll call it out.
Do you?
But if you, so you can call it out, but then when you can wrap it in humor, you're actually calling it out, but then everybody's kind
Willie
of
gets away
laughing.
with saying things that other people cannot say.
Yeah.
He has
That's
a way
awesome.
He does.
about just using humor to be able to say something that's truthful, because a lot of most humor has that element of truth in there, but you're good at that. Sometimes you cross the line, but sometimes I'm like, whoa, that might have been too far.
Some of the funniest things, some of the most humorous things, you're near that line. You
Yep,
know?
yep.
And that's what makes it funny. So
But I think everyone knows it's because you love them, and that's what I tell people. It's like he truly cares enough to try to like pull the better out of you rather
For
than
sure.
just let you live in your negativity or whatever.
So for instance, and Nick Vujicic it speaks with us as well,
Yep.
and I love Nick, and
wow.
man, and I roast him too, and some of the, I'm definitely, and we laugh so hard because again, I'll bring up stuff that probably everybody's, you can tell people are uncomfortable with this story, and if you don't know Nick, he doesn't have arms or legs, and so so recently, just a few weeks ago, I'm fixing to do a talk somewhere, and my guy who's with me was losing his mind because the audio was not right, and it was actually a little church kind of thing we do at home, so it was something local, and he's like, we don't have this, and then so he's pouring negativity into me. I'm fixing to be up there talking and being positive, and my guy who I'm paying to be the guy and he's not realizing he's doing this, and I looked at him and I said, I wonder what Nick Vujicic's doing right now. And he looked and he knew right there. He knew right there. Think about life. Think about everything. And think about this situation. This is not a big, and we don't need to be,
Yes.
like we're looking at the few problems we have. But
Energy is such a big deal. I'll be honest with you. the audience doesn't know this, but when we're recording this, after this, I'm immediately on stage in front of several thousand people, and you're following me a few hours later. I would not have done the interview today before. I would only do it after, except that I know I'm getting energy from you. Like when I'm around you, I'll do better today because I'm around the two of you. That's how much energy matters in life, you guys. It's a big deal to sense it. And I'm with you also. The older I've gotten, if you don't bring it the right way around me and it's negative, I just find myself separating myself from you. I don't want it around me. I only have so many days left on earth. I don't want to spend it in your frequency.
Especially if that's how they fuel their life. There's people who wake up and they just start feeding the negativity. Like, oh, can you believe that? Oh, did you see the news? Just... And there's so many people I know like that. I'm like, how do you live? Like,
how do you do
every
it?
day you're just, and then therefore you realize why people are in traffic. I'm blowing the horn. I'm mad, and the coffee didn't. It's everything is the wrong way. I'm like, man, if you just think about other situations,
Yeah,
like,
you're right. How blessed you really are. Even when we travel, I think of Nick. Honestly, we're talking about our bad travel days, and I actually said this to my guy a few weeks ago. I said we were delayed like 8 or 9 hours somewhere, but like. Perspective is life. Like when you can find the right perspective, you don't get the life you're living, you get the life you're focusing on. And I remember saying, because Nick, you all know Nick, but if you didn't, Nick doesn't have arms or legs, and so it's difficult traveling. And I remember thinking, I'm upset about this. I can literally get up right now, walk over and get a drink and something to eat. Imagine if Nick has to go through this. Like the difference in my perspective like shifted immediately. Here's what I want to know about the two of you. Because there's all these things about you. Very successful financially. You've been successful at, leading people to your faith, obviously. TV, entertainment, books. Your business has blown up for the last 20 some odd years, right? What about your marriage? Like, it's obviously one that I admire and then I look up to. Like, have there been hard times? Like, if you could be candid with us, like, have there been times where you're like, ooh, we're on the ropes here a little bit? And if you have been, what did you do to get through it? And what's made it work? Like the two of you even lean in. Like there's little body language things. Like it's clear the two of you are still in love with one another. But I'm just curious about what you would tell us about that, like lessons from your marriage.
Never had hard times. It's really they should do a study on it. 33 years we've never had a crossword. No, I'm gonna let her speak.
No, we definitely have had hard times, and I think 33 years of marriage, there's no doubt you're going to go through those things. But I do think it's that you mentioned that leaning in towards one another, that just remembering like, okay, we're on the same team. We have the same goal. We want to be great grandparents together, seeing our kids and just thinking about legacy and generations. And then also looking to the legacy that we're passed down and seeing Phil and Kay and their story and how their story impacted our lives. Willie's parents. So Willie's parents' story was they had 10 terrible years, and Phil was an alcoholic, adulterer, all the bad things you can imagine, and their marriage was totally over, and till he came to Christ and he repented, and Miss Kay forgave him, and they stayed together, and all of this that happened to us through Duck Commander, Duck Dynasty. Us meeting at a summer camp in 4th grade because they became Christians, and Kay wanted they wanted their kids to go to a Christian camp.
I wouldn't have been at a Christian camp.
So all of that came from them putting in the work to stay together. So whenever the tough times came for us, and it was that reminder of like, okay, we can come back together, put in the hard work, forgive, repent, say you're sorry, all those things, and stick together and give that gift to our children and the next generation that they gave to us. And so I think that was a big part of it. And then, when there's times when you need to go to counseling, you need to go get help. You need somebody else to sit and listen to you and you be able to like say it. You need to go individually. You need to work on things for yourself, or you need to work. So we did those things different times within our marriage, and then sometimes said, okay, we got to take stock. Like, what do we need to quit? Because we need to focus on this, or what do we need to do differently? And so I think it's just a constantly evolving thing of like saying like, okay, we're going to turn back together. We're not going to see each other as like the enemy, but as the teammate, and know what our goals are.
Yeah, I think it is hard. It's to stay together that long is obviously it's hard because half the people don't. Right? It's they just say we can't, and so. So it's really hard to do that, especially the more you go, especially in our situation where life changed a lot. Like when we were in our
Yeah.
20s and then
Yeah.
30s, just business people and around and I'm it's still hard there, but then when you're thrown to the spotlight, it's a whole new thing, and then everyone feels like they know you, and you feel like you have to say, and I think that's part of it too, is like, even in our marriage was like, what is open to say, what is not, what is like, hey, I don't have to,
Yeah,
we don't have to do this as you don't have to have an interview every time, because everybody's wanting to know, because you read the headline, I think there's something here, and this like, people are demanding, like, because we watch our TV show, we want to know exactly,
we deserve to know
all
what's
the
going on.
stuff that's going on. And some of that stuff you're like, no, you don't,
Yeah, right.
you don't have to, you don't
Some
even
things
know
are
us,
private.
Yeah, and so you work through those things, and I think even this morning, we were in our hotel room, and we were working through things that, like at work, and I think for us, work is where it gets a little sticky, because we're both like, we have similar personality traits from an Enneagram perspective. So we kind of are the same. And when we get at work, and then Corey's one way and I'm one way, we're doing things, but there's two different directives. And so I enjoyed, we haven't even talked about this, but I enjoyed how we work through it now, as opposed to what it may have been 10 or 12 years ago, which would have been like I'm fixing to lay out my case.
Yes.
And I mean, I will rip through this
Yes.
whole room, and you will understand how, when I get through here,
we're going to be clear.
you're going to say, like, okay, he threw the thing and said, I will not, and I think we do that, especially with our spouses. Speaking of negative energy, sometimes we'll focus so much negative energy towards the one that we're with the most,
True.
and so that's the person we're just going to rail on and be like, because you probably are justified in saying, well, if I don't let her know what, how mad this makes me, and so therefore I'm just going to keep ramping it up. And then she's like, well, you want to ramp it up? I'll ramp it up. And then, or ramp it up the other way, which is now I'm not going to talk to you, and we're just going to ignore each other. And I think we've been through every phase of that, through our life, where we're like, we don't even speak for a week. It's just like we're in the same place. And it's like, I'm so mad over this.
Wow.
Especially working when it matters. And I think it could be kids and all that. But I think those things will bring you back together, especially our children, which, I'm so glad we have our children, because there's a lot of times I'm like, oh, thank goodness we've got, our child will come over, and then now we have to be back together again.
Right?
We're like, okay, this is good. And so I think that's...
By the way, this is good. Like what you're both saying, this is really good. Like that you're this transparent, but also what you're saying, because most people wouldn't be that honest. Like, this is outstanding. You talk about your dad. I'm sorry for you losing your dad, and I know I lost mine not that long. I talk about mine. Both our dads shaped our lives quite a bit, and mine was no saint either for the first part, and then very similar actually. And so I don't want to ask you about the lost part of it, but I do want to ask you about something that's personal, and you can go as far into it as you want, but it just affects so many families now, and we've covered it. So Maria Shriver's been on my show so a couple of times. She's a good friend of mine, and so she works with women in Alzheimer's. And I had a grandfather that I lost before I lost him, so to speak, a little bit. And I've been reading a lot about Reagan recently, in those years where he was sort of fading away. And I'm wondering, I believe your dad had a struggle with that as well at some point, right? Where you were,
totally.
And I'm wondering, like, if you could be like genuine. This might be one of these things. It's really a deep place to go, but like, how'd that affect you? Like, sincerely, like, affect you about getting old, affect you in your own mortality, affect your faith. Like, God, why are you doing this? And because he was such a center part of your family and your life, I wonder what that piece of it was like for you guys.
Yeah, it was. Now, the way I have dealt with this, people may agree with, they may not. I took pretty much my personality and the humor and the lightness through the whole thing. And so we were talking about my kind of how I am, and I think a lot of how I am and how I do things is because of my dad. I'm gonna say it's in a weird way, but it was the opposite of what my dad would do. So that was like, he was at times he didn't seem kind, and he was just like, And I remember even when he became a Christian, even at home, like it would just be intense, like, and then with mom, like, he was dominating, and he's trying to stop being what got him in so much trouble. And I think I just literally went the other way. And so I circled around, probably even for Mom, because she'll say like, I was trying to make her laugh. Like, so I'm trying to lighten the mood to coming off of him, which is, and again, I have the most respect for Phil and what he was. Those type of things that it made me uncomfortable. We always said we always have to assess blame. So Phil would be like, who did this? Why did you do this? What kind of idiot would do this? You know, and so every time, and so I wanted to go the complete opposite, going, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to, you know, because I didn't like that, and so I don't want to be that way. And so I really think with the way I did it, which was funny, and Phil never kind of, like he would look, and like there were times growing up I would be in there and we were laughing too loud, and he was trying to watch the news, and so and he looked at me and goes, hey, Saturday Night Live's over in there, you know, which was telling us, hey, pipe. And then it made me laugh even more. And so the stuff he would do would just tickle me, going, oh, that's so funny how he views the world. And so I respected that, but I think it really did shape a different way that I live. But coming back to his faith, I was such a student disciple of that, and how he just, the mission he was on. And so he made such good arguments and Phil was a great storyteller. So, and I think I got a lot of my storytelling from Phil, who was an amazing storyteller. We would sit around when we didn't have any money. So when you get to, you know, as he's getting older, and so I'm kind of I'm always kind of seeing it like, I can see this coming. I can see what's going to happen, and I'm trying to think about how that's going to be. And once I started seeing him, you know, I'll never forget, it was just he and I in there, and we were talking, and I was telling a story about a guy, and he goes, well, yeah, he's dead. And I'm thinking, he's not dead, like, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, he doesn't realize who I'm even and then I was like, no, Dad, I'm talking about, you know, I'm talking about this guy, you know. He's like, yeah, and he was just off, and I was like, oh no, it's, you know, because we had seen it, every one of his siblings had passed away from some sort of dementia, Alzheimer's, which is interesting on how that happened. And so once that started happening, I didn't know. And so you talk to other people, but then we just realized, like, oh, this is going to be tough, you know. It's going to be tough to go through that. Now, when someone's there, the tragic part is watching, like you mentioned your grandfather, watching them slip away into that, which is horrible. The only good side of that, at least for me, was when they pass, you're ready. You're like, oh, because Phil would have, hey, you know, he would, there's no telling what he would have told me. If I ever, you know, if I could have just shown him a glimpse, like, Phil, this is what you look like. I mean, he'd have said, drive me out to the river and kick me off the edge of the, you know, he would just, he would have hated to have been like that. And so there's such a joy, like, because his mind was just gone. His body was healthy, but and it was a complete, so I had fun with it. When I would talk to him, and he would start saying the craziest things, and then I would go, oh, and then I would just start, sometimes I'd play along, and we would just, because you realize you're not, you know, I think it's so hard for us to, like, because you're going, well, he said this, but I'm like, it doesn't matter what he said. He doesn't even know the context. And for him, he went back in his mind to the late 60s, and that's where he was, which was when he wasn't a Christian and when he was running from the police. So every conversation, somebody was after him. And he'd get up and he'd look out the window and he'd go, are they out there? They're like, who? He's like, you know, I'm talking law dogs. They're out there. They're after me. I'm like, Phil, there's nobody.
Bless his heart.
He was running for the border.
We took my mother to the hospital one time. And so we had a double-edged thing because my mother was having so much trouble. And then Dad was too. And so I was trying to, it was basically like our I got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I'm trying to make sure they're both corralled. And so Mom and Dad's, I'm trying to get them in there. Mom's in the hospital. And Dad's in that place, and it was a weird place for him. So he goes, so he kept saying, I hear talking out there. I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's just people. He goes, are they police officers? And I said, no police officer. Everything's good. He'd be like, go check. And so I'd go check. I'd be like, everything's clear. Then I do hear kind of a commotion, and we're getting ready to leave. And I walk out there, and there's 7 police officers. They had brought a drunk guy in.
Oh, no.
And so I walk out, and they're like, Willie. And so I'm talking to the cops, and I'm like, oh, no. Phil's going to see you. It's the worst scenario ever, because I've got to take him out through this law police officers. And so I can't remember what story I told him to get him out of there. I said, okay, we've got it all set up.
What's this on your face I'm seeing? I'm just curious. You're emotional when you're telling me that. What?
No.
You're laughing, but you're like, what is that? Is that just you miss him?
No, I'm just enjoying. Well, actually, I cry when I laugh, but
Yeah.
she can attest to that. So,
But like, it's happy stuff.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally happy, and
Yeah.
and because here's the deal: the situation is the situation, so you can either fall apart and be, Now there, I think I draw back to Phil, where I'm like, hey, what are you gonna do? Like the person who shoots at our house. Well, we can, put up even bigger gates and walls and say we're never leaving again. I mean, we did make some adjustments with security, but but you're like, oh well, he got arrested and he's gonna, and life is gonna go on, and so you can't just live in that. I mean, I know. I mean, I think Korie said live in fear. We don't live, but there's things that I know. I can be fearful. I'm like, fear is a good thing,
What about that? What about that coming for you someday? Or do you read about it? Do you want to know? I'm talking about. It sounds like it's in our.
Oh, I've got the gene, but
Yeah.
I don't even think about it.
Okay.
I mean, what good would it be for me to sit here every day and go, oh man, it's coming. It's now.
Well, by the way,
I do the numbers. Like
Yeah.
I'm 53 years old, and I go, okay. I look at averages. I look at numbers, and I look at lifespans and how long, and I'm like, well, will be what it was. But whenever that comes, whatever that is, I don't want to steal my joy from today.
dude,
I mean, how many people are worrying about the I'm like,
Bro.
you can worry about 20 things that could.
I have to tell you something right now. You just said the word joy. I'm being overly serious with you today. This is a trip to me. I figured
Why
out.
are you being so serious?
I don't know.
I'm the funny guy.
I don't know. I know, because everyone gets that with you. Everyone gets that with you. I want to tell you one thing. It's just, I was literally almost going to interrupt you and use the word joy. I think I figured out what it is that I dig about you. And as you were talking, it was it, and then you said it. You have a joy in your life that I want more of. Mm-hmm. We're both believers. I remember when my family, someone asked me in an interview not that long ago, like, what's the one thing you wish you would have brought in your home more? We laughed. God was center in our home. I got unbelievable kids. But I actually said in the interview, joy's a little different. Like, my dad was like, where we're similar is when my dad got sober, he was still like what I would call a dry drunk, meaning he kept the personality traits of the alcoholic still for a long time. I think people think, well, once your dad accepted Jesus, or once my dad stopped drinking and accepted Jesus, everything about them changed. Not everything. My dad still was grumpy. My dad still spoke to my mom in ways often that I didn't like. You know what I mean? So I didn't learn joy growing up in my home. And I think that's the thing about you that I dig the most, is there's a joy about you.
I will say that about Willie, and I was getting emotional because I was about to say something else, but I'll shift and talk about the joy.
Okay.
I think one thing that people think about, like people who are successful in business, they're like long-term goal planners. Like, I know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. I have this. Willie really does live for today, and he finds joy in the day, and he's good at making sure he has fun in life. And sometimes that can become like, people who are around him will be, it's like a jealousy. They're like angry with him because they think he's having too much fun. Yeah. But he's actually, he's working. He's
right.
Or they think it's a lack of being serious.
Lack of being serious, but he's just enjoying what he's doing in the day of it, and he's intentional, and he works really hard, but he's not like, I got to have the next 10 years planned. It's like, I'm going to do what God has for me today, and I'm going to live in it to its fullest, and then I'm going to do that tomorrow and tomorrow. So I do think that's a real gift, and it's kind of counter to what I think a lot of people think of, like successful business people. So I think there is different ways to do that. Not that goal setting and planning and all that is a bad thing, but also to be able to say, like, I'm going to give what I can give, and he does that in our television show. It's like, if I'm there, if he's there, he's present, he's going to give it all, but he might not be thinking about it the next day. He's not going to be the one that's going to do that. I'm a little bit more the one that's like thinking about it the next day and planning for the next thing. But he's going to be like, I'm really present when I'm there, and I'm going to give it my all. And
we've hired people who
That's true.
have to think about
that's
it.
True.
When they have to be on their phones, and they have to do Zoom calls, and they, you know what I'm saying? So I know. And that's a job, and they really enjoy it.
The reason I said that you, earlier when I introduced you, I said that you had depth is because the first time I met you, it's what I thought. I thought, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
The first time. Yeah. And then we talked. Then the second time, and the third time, I go, oh my gosh, there's so much depth to this man.
Yeah.
He just has joy. And by the way, you should have a little bit more of that, Ed Mylett. When he was talking, you were getting emotional. I was watching you. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, the part that was going to make me, I was like, I was trying to weigh it to see if I could say it without crying. But I think that a great gift that I have had in seeing him care for his parents is that. It's just seeing him. Shoot. We are serious. Like, this is not. This
I got you. I got you.
What kind of crazy psychoanalysis have you done?
I'm just asking stuff, brother.
We're in a counseling session here.
We're fueling his speech, and we're going to ruin our. Willie's not going to be funny today.
He's not going to be funny
He's
today.
going to be sitting up there, you know.
Sucking your
The more I-
thumb.
The more I think about it.
Oh, gosh.
What are we even doing?
Oh, that's awesome.
But it
I
has
tried
been-
to make you
Thank
laugh.
Yeah, you did. It worked.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It has been a great gift to see him care for his parents in the way that he has. The way he has, like, loved his dad through it, and now his mom through it. He goes up there and he goes and sees her every day and just tries to make her laugh and encourage
4 days
her.
in a row.
4 days in a row. She's keeping score too. How many days is
She
there?
doesn't remember a lot, but she does
She
remember I was there 4 days in a row. And now I'm in Japan, so.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But she, just to see the way he's loved his parents and been there for them and cared for them and through all of this has been a great gift to me as a wife to be able to see that. And so
Because
I
you're
think
thinking, hey, if that happens,
if that
now
happens to
you
me,
know.
you're going to be there
And you're
for
going
me.
to be like, remember what you did for your
But you
parents.
will make fun of me though. That's the only
Well,
thing.
that's part of the package.
That's
Love
part
that,
of
man.
Part of the package is,
But,
we do have to laugh, which is kind of what I'm doing with my mom right now. Because she gets negative, because she's
she's sad.
She's
Yeah.
depressed, She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
she just lost her life partner since she was 14 or whenever she, started having kids. So it's like she's depressed. So she'll say that to me, and I'm like, so she was like, what if I get sad? And I said, well, there's nothing you can do about getting sad, Mom. You're just either gonna cry and get over it. And so she looks at me, she goes, ooh, Phil Robertson. She called me, and I said, well, hey, he's the one that raised me, so whatever
man.
that is that you don't like, he put that.
That is
in
so
me.
awesome.
And then I said this. I said, Kay. So she's kind of getting sad. I said, Kay, remember that time when you had 6 squirrels in a Ziploc baggie and you put them on the TSA belt and they went through security?
true story.
Not true.
True story. To take them to New York to cook on a morning show, and she starts laughing. And that was my only thing. She goes, I know what you're doing. Now you're getting me laughing. And I said, remember when they asked you, how do you cook a squirrel? And you said, is it an old squirrel or a young squirrel? And so we just got her into the positive. Let's just laugh. There's not, we're here, whatever. We're either going to be positive or we're just going to sit here and be tremendously sad.
This is so good. You just do a lot of things really well unconsciously, and like when you start talking, these lessons come out. I'm weird. Like when I'm doing the show, I'm like, what's the lesson for everybody? What can they take out of this?
Yeah.
There's they flow out of you, man, and both of you, by the way. I wonder if I was going to distill it down, because we're going to run out of time, and I really wish we did 3 hours of this. Sincerely,
What
this is
did I
fun.
say when I read the thing? I said this will take 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah,
Because
no.
I knew when you go into the depth, but aren't you trying to add as well when you're trying to pass this on to other people? And this is because there's some things I'm going, yeah, this is probably, you're probably not, you're not going to have a hit TV show that everybody,
Yeah.
So as you're passing this down, you're like, what's your secret? And I'm going, I don't know.
Yeah, same
do a
here.
reality TV show and have it be super popular and,
Right.
and then write books and, but then you're thinking, well, most people are like, well, there's no world that's going to live in. So what can you pass to
Exactly.
What can you do?
That's exactly
Can
right.
you be positive in a situation? Can you sit with someone who has Alzheimer's and those are things that you can literally do.
And to me, and I don't want to speak for you, either one of you, so I want you to answer this, but for me, the last 10 years of my life, it was really when I was young, I had all these great business mentors and mindset people and all the stuff that probably I originally got known for online, business and mindset and thinking in your brain and all that stuff. And then the last 10 years of my life, I've had these incredible people come into my life that have a faith walk that I admire the most. And the mentors before made a huge difference in my life, but the last 10 years, my life's changed tremendously. And I'm getting emotional now myself, when I'm listening to you talk about how you're caring for your parents and the joy and the laughing and the honesty about your marriage and all that stuff, I'm thinking, underneath all this, the foundation is their faith.
you see the end of your father's life. We're probably getting close to mom's at some point. So then you're like, how does that affect you? Can you see that for yourself? So the vision we're talking about is to that point. When the vision goes beyond that, when the vision goes, now we're going to go past that, then what? Now, when you have vision of what's beyond here, that can change your entire life. Because now your vision is not just here and what we can see, to where it can either be sad or it can be, do we get the right time right, or how did you get to 79 or was it 86, or at the end of the day you're talking about a couple of years. What's beyond that? And so the reason I'm not sad about my father at all is because every day of his life he talked about the day he was going to leave this earth and the hope that he had. So he lived his life for that. So you understand, now it's different. We don't act like the world now because we're seeing something even beyond. So much of what we're here now, people only see what they see, and that's why they're caught up in that. Once you get that once that vision opens up, it's almost like the Matrix. Remember when Neo, he's like, he sees the whole Matrix as it is, and it's like, oh, he's, and so it's almost like that. Once you have that, then you start seeing some real joy. You start seeing something way beyond, which the Bible would call the fruits of the Spirit, and those things, joy and peace and patience. And that's where those things start falling in line and where they start. And those are the things I hope that are attractive to people. So when you're around, you're going, there's something. And we've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it from some of our atheist friends, and they're like, I don't know what it is, but we're great friends. And because I'm not like, I know, trying to pound on their head. I'm like, this is what we do. And whether or not you accept this or believe this, it's not going to change my life. But I would love for you to see this and experience this, because there may be something that you may be like, wow. So maybe you want to know that, and so that you can have the same type of joy, which will end up being kindness and unselfishness and all these traits we definitely want in our marriage. Yeah. We want our partner to treat us like that. We don't want, I want Korie to be selfish with her time and selfish. No, all these are humanity. Everyone would love for this to happen, whether or not they want to make the decision to what it's going to take to do that. But we all love the fruit of that.
What a perfect approach, bro. I just want to stop just a second. This is so good today. Like, I'm blessed to be doing this with you. I didn't know when I walked in here. And we're just going to, by the way, I haven't even looked at these notes. Yeah. I've literally not asked you one question off of these notes. Not one single thing. Because I didn't make these notes. These are my notes with you guys. But what were you going to add to what he said?
I was just thinking as he was saying that, about living for something greater, that eternal life. But also, it's just, I think when you grasp that, like, eternal life starts like now. It's not just something for future, it's now. And so, like, you can have these things now. We can have these things, this love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, these things now that are the fruits of the Spirit of God. And so it's not just, I do think, even growing up in the church, I think, I remember kind of this mind shift in how we raised our children, and this idea that, like, I just want to get my kids to heaven. And then you think, okay, well, that's something future. But then how does that really affect my life right now? Then when I just was like, oh, no, like, eternal life is now. Like, we are made to be eternal. We're created for that. So it's not something that's in the future that's like later reward. It's actually for us to have right now.
Yeah, even though the limitations of an earth and a body But so there's limitations, but it does start.
I think there will be things that will change in eternity for sure, but it starts here and now.
So what we feel like is, what I always think is like, okay, God I'm here. Like, I'm still here. So I can, like, what can I do? What can I do for God? How much time do I have left to do whatever? Because once, like, Phil he's not here on this earth. He's like, I did what I could do there, but now I'm here. He's happy as he can be. He's like, this is where it's at. This is where it's at. And so we're like, so it's waking up every day going, okay, what could I do here? If God had me here going, all right, I've got you here. What can I do? What are the things that I could do? And hopefully you'll start making different decisions as to what you do in life and what things that really matter and what things. Because I'm telling you, the funeral is always the key. The funeral is like, your whole life is going to be summed up in a couple of paragraphs, like, and you don't even get to write it. Somebody else writes it. You don't even get to write your own material. It's like, this is what somebody, and sometimes I read, because I read a lot of obituaries, because a lot of them have they were Duck Dynasty fans. So it's like, and he loved NASCAR, and he loved watching Duck Dynasty, and it's just much stuff. I'm just like, oh, that's it. When it came down to Phil, we didn't talk about bottom lines. We didn't talk about what he did in business. There was some talk about hunting and a TV show, but man, it was just people saying, this is how he impacted me. And I get it everywhere I go. But somebody comes up to me crying, like at an airport, your dad did that, I heard your dad here. And so living that kind of life, which is a really unselfish life, is living for other people. It's not an inward focus, it's an outward focus.
Bro, okay, I'm going to share this with you last. You didn't know I was going to tell you this. So I feel like there's like Holy Spirit delivered conversation today, just so you know, because I've been holding on to this to tell you this about you at the end. So I'm at an airport last week, I think I already knew we were going to be doing this today. So at an airport last week, and I'm blessed like you are that someone comes up to me sometimes and says, hey, you've changed my life. And it affects you so deeply, no matter what the reasons. So anyway, this young man comes up to me, 22-year-old guy, and he's in tears already. And I'm getting moved. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. I know what he's going to say to me, except that's not what he said to me. He said, I saw you speak at Life Surge in whatever city. And I said, oh, thank you so much. He said, you were incredible. He says, but do you know Willie? No, bro. And I said, I do know Willie. And he said, would you thank him for saving my life?
Wow.
So he said, I got a chance to visit with him, and you do this a lot too, but I got to see him speak, but then I got a chance to take a picture with him. And he goes, I was going to take my life that day.
Oh my goodness.
And Willie saved my life that day. And if you see him, would you please thank him? I won't say his last name, but his first name is Marcus. And you did that for him. So that legacy of your dad lives through you, bro. I wanted to let you know that. You not only changed his life, you saved his life.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
And I think today, this sounds hokey, but I think today's conversations affected a lot of lives. So where can they keep finding you? I know they can find you on TV, but since I didn't promote it very well in the beginning, why don't you, let's finish with that. God bless you, man. That was awesome.
Yeah,
You did that.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I'm not really on the...
Yeah.
You can find me probably in the woods or something.
Yeah, Duck Dynasty, the revival. It's on A&E, and it comes out on Hulu October 16th, so we're really excited about that. You can find it on Prime or wherever. Okay. All Duck Dynasties are kind of everywhere. There's a whole Duck Dynasty channel. But also Instagram, Korie Robertson.
Instagram.
Willie.
I wrote a book last year, Gospeller. It's about turning darkness into life one conversation at a time. So I really go into conversation. The conversations I've had that it's kind of a lot of conversations Phil had. The conversations you can have with other people, just like this conversation, is between believers. But I love what really excites me is going into people who have no faith or like have nothing, right?
Like Marcus.
Answers. That's it. That's it. And so, and talking to them, and so Paul says, I became all things to all men so that I could snatch some from the fire. And so I think we're talking about energy and environments. And so I don't mind going in there. I don't mind going in and saying, all right, where we at? I was around some people yesterday and I was like, ooh, a little rough around the edges, but they need the Lord and they need to see that. Because they're watching me going, how does that happen? And
that's right.
If you notice if you watch how Jesus talked to people, it's not always the same thing. It's different. He would say, I think this may affect you. This may be where you're at. And so, I wrote the book. We do the movie The Blind is such a great. We made the movie of Phil and Kay like that time of faith. And I was actually watching like you with McConaughey, and it was like where he was talking about those time, those certain things. I was like, if that doesn't happen, my whole life, I don't end up at the camp. I don't meet Korie. We don't have this thing, and then I have our children, and then our children, what they've done for the Lord, and so I think there's just a lot there to learn as well. So, and we're going to keep. We're going to keep doing more projects and more things. We really saw that need, especially Korie with the production side, and she's constantly works on the podcasting and TV and all that stuff. And so, we've been it's a good partnership we have.
Two of you are a blessing. I can tell you right now, we didn't get to family, your kids. We didn't get to business. We didn't get to all that stuff. So I bet people probably want to see us do this again sometime next 12 months.
Let's do it again.
You know how to find me. So.
Yeah, I can probably find you. Thank you so much. This was outstanding.
All
right, everybody. This is one I don't probably have to ask you to share. So if this moved you, affected you in any way today, or somebody who could use this message from these two beautiful souls, please share it with them. In the meantime, God bless you. Max out your life.